Our story opens in a small, half-empty diner, the kind of place with sticky booths and buzzing fluorescent lights. A young guy named Bear Bailey is sitting there nervously, running lines with one of the waitresses, trying to figure out the perfect way to finally tell his childhood friend Nikki Freeman how he really feels about her. He has liked her for what feels like forever, and tonight he is finally trying to work up the courage. The waitress thinks the whole thing is sweet. Bear's best friend Ian, sitting right across from him, thinks it is painfully corny and tells him so. All Bear wants is a little bit of alone time with Nikki so he can actually say what he means. But that is not happening tonight. The whole friend group already has plans to head to trivia night together, along with their other close friend Sarah, so any big confession is going to have to wait. When Bear finally gets home later that day, his stomach drops. He finds his cat Sandy lying still and lifeless on the floor. It turns out she got into his prescription oxycodone and it killed her. Heartbroken and in shock, Bear gently wraps her tiny body in a garbage bag, carries her out, and then locks himself in his room to cry alone. That night, Bear calls Nikki just to talk. She tells him she is planning to put in her 2 weeks' notice at their job, ready for a fresh start. While they are talking, Bear overhears her mention, almost in passing, that she accidentally dropped her crystal necklace down a sewer drain and lost it for good. Wanting to do something sweet for her, Bear decides to go find a replacement. He heads to a small, cluttered shop full of odd trinkets, and while he is browsing for a necklace, something else catches his eye on a dusty shelf. It is a strange little item called a one-wish willow. On a total whim, he buys that too, not really thinking much of it. Later that night, Bear meets up with Nikki, Ian, and Sarah for trivia. They laugh, they compete, they act like a normal group of friends who have known each other forever. Afterward, Bear offers to drive Nikki home, and this is his moment. This is his chance to finally say how he feels. But when it actually comes down to it, he freezes up completely. Instead of confessing anything real, he awkwardly blurts out the nickname Freaky Nikki, a name she has hated since they were kids. When Nikki turns and flat out asks him if he likes her, Bear panics and denies it on the spot. Nikki sighs and heads inside her house, leaving Bear sitting alone in his car, kicking himself. In a moment of frustration and heartbreak, he pulls out the one-wish willow he bought earlier. He does not fully understand what it is, but he makes a wish anyway. He wishes for Nikki to love him more than anyone else in the entire world. Almost instantly, there is a tap at his window. Nikki is back, saying she does not want to go home just yet. She tells him she feels awful because her dad is dying of cancer, and she just wants to be with someone who cares about her. Confused but happy to have her close, Bear brings her back to his place. Things move fast and Nikki asks him to sleep with her. They start kissing, but out of nowhere she jerks back in pure terror, her eyes wide, insisting there is something standing right behind him in the room. The next morning, Bear walks into the kitchen and freezes. Nikki has dug Sandy's body out of the trash bag and laid it out on the kitchen floor, almost like some kind of twisted memorial shrine. Bear is horrified and can barely process what he is looking at. Nikki, for her part, seems genuinely shaken too. She tells him it feels like something has taken over her body, like she is not fully in control of her own actions anymore. Not long after that unsettling morning, Bear and Nikki are suddenly, officially a couple. It happens so fast and so out of nowhere that it throws both Ian and Sarah completely off balance. They cannot understand how things went from friendly to serious literally overnight. While Bear and Nikki are out at dinner one evening, celebrating their new relationship, Bear's phone buzzes. It is Ian and he sounds worried. He tells Bear he has been doing some digging, and it turns out Nikki's dad is completely healthy, not dying of anything, and the two of them barely even speak. On top of that gut punch, Ian adds that Sarah once told him Nikki always saw Bear as nothing more than a little brother. When Bear gently tries to ask Nikki about the lie regarding her father, something in her snaps. She completely loses it right there in the restaurant, screaming and throwing a full-blown tantrum in front of every other customer, until Bear manages to calm her down enough to get her outside. That night, Bear stirs awake in the dark and feels a chill run through him. Nikki is standing silently in the corner of his bedroom, just watching him sleep, unmoving, unblinking. The moment he tries to get up out of bed, she screams at him not to move, to stay with her. The next morning, Bear gets ready for work like normal, but when he reaches the front door, he stops cold. The entire door has been sealed shut, top to bottom, with layers of duct tape. Nikki hands him a packed lunchbox for work with an eerily calm smile, then just stands quietly by the sealed door as he leaves, smiling blankly, and wetting herself right there on the spot without any reaction at all. At work later that day, Bear is casually chatting with Sarah while unwrapping his lunch. He takes a bite of the sandwich Nikki packed him, and tucked inside the wrapping is a small note asking how the verdict on the cat tastes. Confused and uneasy, Bear lifts up the top slice of bread and sees, unmistakably, one of Sandy's paws sitting inside the sandwich. He immediately drops it and throws up on the spot. Shaken to his core, Bear sits in his car and finally calls the number printed on the packaging of the One Wish Willow. A calm representative on the line explains that once a wish is made, it cannot be changed, altered, or undone in any way. It only ends when the person who made the wish dies. Then, chillingly, the representative puts what she calls the real Nikki on the phone, and all Bear hears through the speaker is raw, desperate screaming. Terrified, he drives home, only to find Nikki standing in the exact same spot by the door, now covered head to toe in urine, vomit, and feces, still smiling that same unsettling smile. Ian, genuinely worried about his friend after noticing how distant and shaken Bear has become, invites him out to a party to try and get his mind off everything. Bear tries to go alone, hoping for one normal night, but Nikki throws such a violent fit about being left behind that he eventually gives in and brings her along, much to Ian's visible frustration. At the party, the group starts playing a rowdy round of drunk Jenga. Things take an uncomfortable turn when Nikki suddenly stands up and delivers a disturbing, incestuous retelling of Hansel and Gretel to the entire room, making everyone go dead silent and awkward. When it is finally Bear's turn to pull a block, he reads an instruction to kiss the person sitting to his left, which happens to be Sarah. Before that kiss can even happen, Nikki lunges forward, yanks Sarah out of her seat and takes her place, forcing Bear to kiss her instead in front of everyone. For one brief, terrifying moment, the real Nikki seems to claw her way back to the surface. Her eyes change and she grabs a broken beer bottle and starts stabbing herself repeatedly in the face with it while the party descends into chaos around her. A panicked Bear rushes her straight to the hospital, but somehow, inexplicably, the staff turn them away and deny her any help at all. Bear brings a bloodied Nikki back home, and right after getting her settled, his phone buzzes with a text from Sarah asking him to meet up somewhere private. As Bear quietly heads for the door to leave, the real Nikki speaks up one final time, her voice raw and pleading, begging him to kill her while freaky Nikki is asleep and cannot stop him. Bear, torn and confused, only asks her what could possibly be so bad about being loved by him. Bear drives out to meet Sarah, who is waiting in her car. She finally tells him something huge that changes everything. Ian and Nikki, it turns out, had been secretly hooking up on and off for years behind everyone's backs, and Ian believes Nikki only started dating Bear as a way to make him jealous. It also becomes painfully clear in that moment that Sarah has feelings for Bear too, feelings that have been building for a long time. Nikki comes sprinting toward the car out of the darkness like something feral. She smashes straight through the window, drags Sarah out, and slams her face into a brick wall over and over and over until Sarah is dead, her face completely unrecognizable. A terrified, shaking Bear ends up helping Nikki drag and move the body, too horrified and trapped to refuse. Desperate for any way out, Bear rushes back to the same antique shop, hoping to buy a second One Wish Willow and undo everything. But no matter how hard he tries, he cannot snap this new willow in half the way he did the first one, since his one and only wish has already been used. Out of options, he drives straight to Ian's house, begging him to make a wish that Bear had never made his wish in the first place. Ian, still bitter and sarcastic about the whole Nikki situation, instead wishes out loud for $1 billion as a joke. Instantly, stacks of cash begin raining down from the ceiling all around them. Bear rushes home, dread building with every step, and finds that Nikki has propped Sarah's lifeless corpse up on the living room couch like some grotesque piece of furniture. He tries to hand her a willow, begging her to reverse the wish, but Nikki has already made up her mind about something far darker. She reveals she is planning to shoot him and then turn the gun on herself. Bear bolts for the bathroom and locks himself inside, hands shaking, finally accepting that this nightmare has to end one way or another. He presses the gun to his own head for a moment, but at the last second he cannot bring himself to pull the trigger. Instead, he grabs the same bottle of oxycodone that killed Sandy and swallows a massive, fatal dose. When Bear finally stumbles back out of the bathroom, barely able to stand, he finds that Nikki has already snapped her own willow in half, using her final act to wish that Bear would love her back, truly and completely. For one fleeting moment, the nightmare fades, and they share a last, quiet kiss before Bear collapses to the floor in her arms. Holding his body close, sobbing, Nikki presses the gun to her own head, ready to end it all right alongside him. But right before she can pull the trigger, the original wish finally breaks and fades away for good. Nikki blinks and just like that, she is fully herself again. She looks around at the bodies scattered through the house, at the blood, at everything that happened, and she completely breaks down, screaming in pure horror at the nightmare she is only now waking up into. And that is the ending of Obsession, a wish that was never meant to be granted, and a love story that turned into an absolute massacre. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, tell me your favorite part in the comments and subscribe because a lot more movie recaps just like this one are coming your way.